Oh, what's up, everybody? I'm Dan Bannis. I just realized I still have that hello from Owen Benjamin streams, but with me is good boy, everyone's favorite pup. This is
Going on,
Kabarett.
people?
Yeah, how you doing, buddy?
Not so bad, Dan. How you doing?
Not bad. Settling into the new apartment, and we're getting started, getting ready to watch the State of the Union address from POTUS number 45. The much maligned, oft hated, um, I would say moderately effective president. You know, I have I don't I don't love the guy, but I don't have any huge issues with him, and I find myself kind of supporting him just as because everyone has been so insane since he got elected that it's just makes me want to say, hey, you know, he's basically the same as every other president, if not a little better than, you know, I would say Bush or Barack in a lot of ways. You know, arguably Clinton in some ways. You know, the ways that he's been good have been very similar to Clinton, I would say, oddly enough.
Yeah, I would actually happen to agree with you. He's pretty much a 90s Democrat is what this guy is.
Yeah, yeah. And I was a supporter of Clinton, so, you know, although I do have, you know, I don't love Clinton as much as I might have appreciated him in the past. But I don't love Trump either. So it's like he's just another president. And
Yeah, just because you can point out some of the things you happen to observe that you like doesn't mean you love the guy or like you would
right,
excuse any wrongdoing. Look, I think
right.
there's great things Obama did. Doesn't mean I don't think, you know, drone bombing places like Yemen is like a positive. You know, it doesn't
Yeah.
mean that.
I mean, I think there's great things that Bush did in Africa. He, you know, helped alleviate the AIDS epidemic. So it's pretty amazing. Anyway, I guess let's get this going. I can't hear it. Huh. Do you have volume on yours?
On me, yeah.
Can you hear the State of the Union?
No.
I wonder if it's because of the microphone.
Maybe. Can you screen share it and caption it, maybe?
That's a good idea. There we go. Boom. There he is, everybody. Handsome fella.
I don't know. Pence isn't my type.
Yeah. It's funny because it's just so weird. This reviling hatred of Donald Trump. I mean, 2.5 years ago, whatever, before the election, I guess like 3 years ago before he was a candidate, if you tried to explain to people the insane hatred of this man, people wouldn't understand it. I wouldn't have understood it. And it's like,
Yeah, I think that's the right way of putting it. Like they wouldn't have understood
yeah.
where the vitriol was really coming from. So weird.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just bizarre. And so, whatever. Okay, I have closed captions on, but I'm not seeing them. Okay, let me, I'm going to put it on my other computer and see if I can just listen to it that way. Low. All right. Clap, 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 clap.
I can hear it.
You can hear it.
I can. Well, for a minute.
The agenda of this evening is not a Republican agenda or a Democrat agenda. It's the agenda of the American people. Many of us have campaigned on the same core promises to defend American jobs and demand fair trade for American workers, to rebuild and revitalize our nation's infrastructure, to reduce the price of health care and prescription drugs, to create an immigration system that is safe, lawful, modern, and secure, and to pursue a foreign policy that puts America's interest first.
Seems like he's been more subdued this year. Have you noticed that?
I think no. I think
Really?
I think it just may seem that way because every time I turn on the TV and I'm expecting him to say something crazy, he says something normal.
Well, yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It seems like he's trying to like presidential it up a little. Maybe.
Yeah. Victory is winning for our country.
And we're winning, I promise you. We're winning.
A lot of winning. So much winning.
So much winning.
Elizabeth Warren standing up? I think I
know. I can't see the screen from here, just so you know.
This year, America will recognize two important anniversaries that show us the majesty of America's mission and the power of American pride. In June, we mark 75 years since the start of what General Dwight D. Eisenhower called the Great Crusade.
Whoa.
The Allied liberation of Europe in World War II.
What?
Let's give a clap for World War II, everybody. We have an even bigger, better war. We're going to call World War III.
I know. Part of me is afraid of it.
Jump from the sky and 60,000 from the sea to save our civilization from tyranny. Here with us tonight are three of those incredible heroes.
I hate this is the stuff I can't stand.
Right. Can you imagine it comes out one of these guys is a German, right?
And Sergeant Herman Zaitchik.
At least it wasn't Goring. But yeah, it's just like this stupid public whatever you call it, social interest, public interest stories, whatever the heck.
Yeah.
Where it's like, this guy is on crutches and he's a
Remember that, dude?
I do. Yeah.
That was unreal. What a move.
I know.
And he was just like, I love freedom. Thank you.
It was funny though, like when you see that stuff in this climate, I mean it feels like a little less insane now than it did like a year or two ago. But just like anyone showing any sort of like enthusiasm for Donald Trump, it would just cause like this bizarre, frigid feeling, you know. And now at least, like, I don't know, this is starting to feel like a regular State of the Union to me.
It's Clinton could have given the speech.
Yeah. But we'll see. Maybe something insane will still happen.
We are joined by one of the Apollo 11 astronauts who planted the flag.
Owen Benjamin's going to be talking about this.
Owen's going to be like, Owen is... I knew it. I knew Trump was in the New World Order.
Oh my gosh. I was listening to his
guy standing like he went to the moon or something.
Well, who knows? Maybe Trump is going to out him right now as faking the moon landing.
As a guy's just like, please sit down.
Yeah.
None of that really happened. No.
Thank you, folks. This year, American astronauts will go back to space on American rockets.
And he just steps back for the applaud right there.
Yeah.
People are standing ovation for American rockets right now. Is that what I'm seeing?
People love our rockets. They love our missiles. They love our
well about race relations, but America's got locked down on rockets. We're all on the same page.
Transform science, redefine the middle class, and when you get down to it, there's nothing anywhere in the world that can compete with America.
Including our rockets.
Didn't China supposedly go to Mars recently?
They went to the dark side of the moon.
Oh, that's right. That's what they did. Didn't they go to Mars as well, or no?
I don't know.
Okay. But yeah, that said, Owen did make a good point. He's like, if the Chinese government just uses your source, you're a moron. You know, it's kind of true.
Yeah, I wouldn't trust much coming out of the Chinese government.
Yeah.
But the pictures look legit.
Yeah. I mean, what do I know about space travel? Not a whole lot.
Our faith deeper, and our middle class bigger and more prosperous than ever before.
Okay, some Dems not feeling the middle class thing, okay?
I did notice my my IRA had goosed in the last couple of days, and I'm like, someone's pulling some strings prior to the State of the Union, you know.
Compromise and the common good.
It's like that, the Black Caucus right there with the ties and insignia and all that.
There it is.
Together we can break decades of political stalemate. We can bridge old divisions, heal old wounds, build new coalitions, forge new solutions, and unlock the extraordinary promise of America's future. The decision is ours to make. We must choose between greatness or gridlock, results or resistance, vision or vengeance, incredible progress or pointless destruction. Tonight, I ask you to choose greatness.
Nancy's not even doing a whole lot of like harumphing, you know?
No, not really.
So far.
I haven't seen anything over.
Has moved with urgency and historic speed to confront problems neglected by leaders of both parties over many decades. In just over 2 years since the election, we have launched an unprecedented economic boom, a boom that has rarely been seen before. There's been nothing like it. We have created 5.3 million new jobs, and importantly added 600,000 new manufacturing jobs, something which almost everyone said was impossible to do. But the fact is, we are just getting started.
There he is. Good one. I mean, look, that is 100% true. I was working in finance when he was elected, and I could just see with my own investments, it just, the day after he was elected, they just shot up, and it's almost been going up ever since with like a few minor blips. So it's like, what can I say? You know, I mean, I have to live in reality. I can't pretend like that hasn't happened, you know?
Well, that's just it, Dan. I think at the end of the day, you know, bullshit talks and money walks a little bit, you know, and it's, if the dollar's strong, if all this positive economic growth is really happening, then it's a good thing. It's really happening. You can't bullshit that forever. You can move numbers around, but like you said, like your investments are going up. I don't know. I think it's hard to fake.
Yeah. Well, also it's like, I mean, it's just true. Like the Obama administration kept insisting that growth couldn't get any higher. Like they're like, well, this is just the new normal, and they proved that is not true. You know, and it's like, I wish I could be more critical, but it's like I'm just basing it on like the facts in front of me, you know. So I don't know.
I will say I am nervous about another bubble forming.
Sure.
However, for now, it looks like pretty healthy growth.
Look, obviously, like there are certainly potential bubbles that could burst at any time, for sure. But it's like, yeah, as of now, everything seems to be fine. If a bubble pops, if it bursts, then you know we'll have to re-look at this. But,
yeah. Disabilities has also reached an all-time low.
Even if a bubble does burst with investments, it's like the jobs are there, you know, and it's like that will help, you know.
Are working now that at any time in the history of our country, 157 million people at work. We passed a massive tax cut for working families and doubled the child tax credit. We virtually ended the estate tax, or death tax, as it is often called, on small businesses, for ranches, and also for family farms.
Isn't that weird?
We eliminated
the
you kind of have to be careful about applauding for cutting taxes. Like, when did taxes become such a good thing that everyone's like, well, cutting taxes, that's never a good thing. No, I don't know.
What's that?
I don't know. I feel like at one point in time, everybody was cynical about paying taxes. Now it's
I know.
Democrats are like, no, we kind of like taxes. It's like,
well, also, like, I remember back in the day, it was like everyone agreed, like, politicians were slimy and they were two-faced and you couldn't trust them. And now it's like, I mean, mostly the Democrats, people I know who are like Democratic leaning, like they adore these politicians. They put up on such a pedestal. And it's like, that's insane. It's just bizarre. So,
well, that's proof that it's more of a religion now than a political stance, right?
Yeah.
I mean, these are your sacred cows. You can't criticize them. You know?
Right.
And
I mean, yeah.
Scary thing.
To me, I guess I saw it really start with, you know, Obama was just so beloved. But it's like Clinton too, you know. I don't know, like people who are Republicans, they don't have the same like adoration in my experience. Like, obviously Trump has his cult. I get it for sure. There's Trump cults, but also Trump is a different sort of figure. He's not a traditional
populist. Yeah,
and like you didn't have anyone going crazy for George W. Bush or George Bush Sr. I mean, maybe Reagan. I'm not old enough to really remember, but maybe it was similar with Reagan, I guess. I don't know. But regardless, I don't like it. I don't like any of that.
Yeah, it's unhealthy. That's what you get for living in a post-religious society, you know. I think you replace the church with the state, and the problem with that is, as Jefferson would say, you have to separate the church and state because the morals should never fall on the state. It should fall on the church. You keep it out of government. Unfortunately, in this post-religious world, our religion is bound in your political ideology. So in a way, we can't escape the fact that we put our faith, so to speak, our moral views of the world in our politics.
For sure. Yeah, no, it's really made me question like where the role of religion should be in society. It's like I definitely, you know, I've more and more seen that it might be a necessary, like a necessity. I don't want to say necessary evil. I don't think religion is evil, but a necessity, you know, in a way that I didn't quite, I never quite appreciated before. So I don't know. I'm kind of wrestling with that.
Yeah, sure.
Wasn't it the most bizarre thing when you saw like the chance of USA at the Democrat rally in 2016, like the primary rallies or the convention?
Yeah, and I'm sure a lot of people are like, hey, man, easy.
Right. It's like the Democrats are constantly crapping all over the U.S. So it's like, okay, whatever. I also thought it was so weird when they started going mad about Russia from the start, even before the election. They're like, oh, Russia. And I was like, what? The Democrats? You know, I didn't understand what was happening. Still don't, to be honest.
No, I have no idea what they're on about.
There are conservatives in the United States, and the only thing that can stop it are foolish wars, politics, or ridiculous partisan investigations.
I love his little like turn to the left thing. I love it. I do like how we mentioned, by the way, the first Republican president I remember during a State of the Union that used the term foolish wars.
Investigation. It just doesn't work.
That's a great point.
Pelosi throwing the hand up.
We wanted at home to defeat our adversaries.
She does have way better, less creepy makeup today, I will say. You know, not to be all like misogynistic or something. But look, it's common knowledge. It's common, you know, it's just an objective fact that Nancy Pelosi is a bizarre looking individual. But, you know, whatever. She's in her mid-70s and they're trying to make her look, you know, 40. It's going to happen.
The Senate has failed to act on these nominations, which is unfair to the nominees and very unfair to our country. Now is the time for bipartisan action. Believe it or not, we have already proven in the last Congress, both parties came together to pass unprecedented legislation to confront the opioid crisis, a sweeping new farm bill, historic VA reforms, and after 4 decades of rejection, we passed VA accountability so that we can finally terminate those who mistreat our wonderful veterans.
From what I understand, okay, Nancy's not clapping for any of that. It's bizarre.
Yeah, it's a little bizarre.
For groundbreaking criminal justice reform, they said it couldn't be done.
I love when he adds those little.
Yeah,
that's like a signature thing. He makes
but you know what? We did it.
Just let it sit. Yeah, he had to like rephrase it in his own goofy way.
Yeah.
Last year, I heard through friends the story of Alice Johnson.
Okay.
Didn't you say I heard through friends? You're the president. I hope you don't hear anything through friends.
Alice was.
It's like, do you think he has actual friends?
As a first-time nonviolent drug offender. Over the next 22 years, she became a prison minister, inspiring others to choose a better path. She had a big impact on that prison population and far beyond. Alice's story underscores the disparities and unfairness that can exist in criminal sentencing and the need to remedy this total injustice. She served almost that 22 years and had expected to be in prison for the remainder of her life. In June, I commuted Alice's sentence. When I
You're
saw
welcome.
Alice's beautiful family greet her at the prison gates, hugging and kissing and crying and laughing, I knew I did something right. Alice is right, and she is.
The man's got a huge heart, you know?
I gotta say, I'm pretty sweet, every guy.
Yeah. He's a good guy.
I'm a good dude.
Yeah. Like it's really boggles my mind. Like there are many, many people who actually take those stories and they're like, wow, our president's a wonderful man, you know? And
Right,
it's like,
right. They take it as like full-blown sweeping generalizations now, right?
yeah.
Reminding us that we always have the power to shape our own destiny. Thank you very much, Alice. Thank you very much.
I will say though, the prison reform, from what I've read of the bill, the synopsis of it, it is a pretty great move forward. I really think it is a bipartisan thing that should be fucking celebrated, you know?
Oh yeah, no, I'm a big supporter of what he did with prison reform for sure. It was fantastic.
Yeah, so I feel like this sort of like sentence, like, oh, I got this girl out of jail. I feel like at the end of the day, he did mention before that the prison reform. It's like, yeah, this is actually the physical manifestation of like working together on some shit we agree on.
Right. Yeah, and no, that's great. That should be celebrated. It's just like it drives me crazy when they always have to like now we have to put a face on it. You know, this is little Ilion or whatever.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Oh, especially when they didn't pass any laws or anything like that. It's just like, I am strong on, you know, immigration reform, and here's Elian Gonzalez. It's like nothing changed. It's just, you know.
Yes.
35 years for selling drugs.
Oh, shit.
Over the next 2 decades, he completed more than 30, became a law clerk, and mentored many of his fellow inmates. Now Matthew is the very first person to be released from prison under the First Step Act. Matthew, please.
Matthew, please.
Thank you, Matthew.
Thank you.
Welcome home.
Welcome home. Where was he?
He
was in Vietnam or something. He got out of prison. I get, dude. I mean, prison's fucking hell on earth, but I love that. Like you said, you can't just let it lie, right?
Right.
Congress has 10 days left to pass a bill that will fund our government, protect our homeland, and secure our very dangerous southern border.
It's very dangerous. I've been there.
It's so dangerous. The most dangerous.
America is committed to ending illegal immigration and putting the ruthless coyotes, cartels, drug dealers, and human traffickers out of business.
I also want to point out I'm also actual coyotes too, not just.
No. I honestly think a lot of people probably don't get that or are confused. I would not be surprised at all. But it's like, it is weird how the Democrats just like completely dismiss that as a problem, like the sex trafficking and the coyotes and the dangers. It's like, and the drug trafficking. It's like, dude, like these are problems. They do exist. You know, I don't. It's kind of boggles my mind.
Right, and the amount of people we do let into the country, clearly it's not racially motivated. I mean, like we let in a lot of people into the country constantly. We're giving people like amnesty and all this shit, and you know the Dream Act and all this stuff. I mean, the idea that if we're trying to stop drug dealers and coyotes and human trafficking, all of a sudden that means like, well, you know, the only reason you're against that is because you're racist. It's like that's the scheme. It's like, you know, I think we can do for law and order too.
Who do they think is being trafficked? Like that's the thing. It's these like Hispanic, these Mexican women who are trying to get across. Like
absolutely,
you know, they're the ones who are suffering with like insanely high rates of sexual abuse and obviously trafficking and violence. It's like I'm not afraid personally. Like I just don't think this should happen to these people. Like it's just insane. But whatever, you know.
There you go, Nancy. Shut up.
Yeah.
He probably said something on the fence, like I believe everybody should live in a free country or something. She had to think about it.
I want people to come into our country in the largest numbers ever, but they have to come in legally.
I mean, he just said in the largest numbers ever. I just want it to be done legally. Like that's such a like a milquetoast sort of political stance. It's so ridiculous.
But it's like at this point they'll just be like, "Oh, he doesn't mean that. He's just lying." It's like, okay, fine. He only means the horrific things in your head that you think. Like,
right.
Can you just at least? You have to just assume. I don't know. I don't know. Obviously, politicians lie and use rhetoric, but it's like, you know, I don't know why he wouldn't want people coming to the United States. Like,
right, this guy's has dollar signs in his eyes, right? Like he wants workers, you know. Like I get it.
He wants the country to be like robust, so you know.
Meanwhile, working class Americans are left to pay the price for mass illegal immigration. Jobs, lower wages, overburdened schools, hospitals that are so crowded you can't get in, increased crime, and a depleted social safety net. Tolerance for illegal immigration is not compassionate. It is actually very cruel. One in 3 women is sexually assaulted on the long journey north. Smugglers use migrant children as human pawns to exploit our laws and gain access to our country. Human traffickers and sex traffickers take advantage of the wide open areas between our ports of entry to smuggle thousands of young girls and women into the United States and to sell them into prostitution and modern day slavery.
Did you think the innuendo was on purpose there? This wide open spaces and to penetrate our borders.
And flood into our cities, including meth, heroin, cocaine, and fentanyl. The savage gang, MS-13, now operates in at least 20 different American states.
Yeah, they just killed someone on Sunday in Queens on a subway platform.
Southern border.
Jeez.
Just yesterday, an MS-13 gang member was taken into custody for a fatal shooting on a subway platform in New York City.
Look at you.
We are removing
feeding
these
lines
gang
to the
members
president
by the thousands. Until we secure order, they're going to keep streaming right back in. Year after year, countless Americans are murdered by criminal, illegal aliens. I've gotten to know many wonderful angel moms and dads and families. No one should ever have to suffer the horrible heartache that they have had to endure. Here tonight is Deborah Bissell. Just 3 weeks ago, Deborah's parents, Gerald and Sharon, were burglarized and shot to death in their Reno, Nevada home by an illegal alien. They were in their 80s.
Jesus.
And are surviving 4 children, 11 grandchildren, and 20 great-grandchildren. Also here tonight are Gerald and Sharon's granddaughter, Heather, and great-granddaughter, Madison. Deborah, Heather, Madison, please stand. Few can understand your pain. Thank you, and thank you for being here. Thank you very much.
That's like the one concession
I will never forget.
yeah
that like Democrats have to. It's like, oh God, we can't applaud the bill, but we have to applaud the people. Like, fuck.
Again.
Applaud the grandchildren of the 80-year-olds who got killed.
He got murdered, slain for a burglar.
It's a very dangerous border. In the last 2 years, our brave ICE officers made 266,000 arrests of criminal aliens, including those charged or convicted of nearly 100,000 assaults, 30,000 sex crimes, and 4,000 killings or murders. We are joined tonight by one of those law enforcement heroes, ICE Special Agent Elvin Hernandez.
Hashtag not all, right?
Right.
I love how, I mean, not for anything, I do find it ironic as a libertarian seeing Democrats wanting a government agency shut down so badly. It's so funny to me.
Right. It's
of all the things, it's like, oh, let's go after the people that like concern our borders, like the nation's boundaries. Like out of all the things that may be necessary, it's like the safety and security of the American people as per the Constitution.
Right.
Border Patrol, it's like, let's talk about the Department of Ed and what a knock out of the park job they've done the past 60 years. Now, it's ICE they're after. They're after ICE.
I know. They despise them. It's just bizarre. I mean, I look, I'm not a big fan of a lot of law enforcement for sure, but it's like to the degree of vitriol where they just despise them and openly like nauseating anger and just bile that they spew. It's like, what can I say? I'm like, they're not that bad, I have family who works border patrol and like they're good people. I don't know, he's a good, my cousin-in-law is a decent guy.
And not for anything, that doesn't mean you would dismiss any wrongdoing ICE ever did, right? It's not like if one of them got caught like doing whatever, anything illegal, you wouldn't be like, well, I know one, so therefore none of them can be, nefarious.
Right. Meanwhile, I do know a lot of like public school teachers who are just bigots and morons. So, whatever.
We all went there. At least I did, so them. They are there for sure.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they're good teachers as well, but
my administration has sent to
typically few and far between, right? I feel
Probably.
like the phrase is, what was the one teacher that got to you, right? It's like, why there always have to be just one?
Why is there only one? But also, like, I do notice more and more, like, the group think is really creepy, where they all have the exact same political beliefs and affiliation. I don't know any public school teachers that don't, you know, and that just, I find that very eerie, you know, because these people, they're teaching, you know, and it's like, you can't be that blatantly partisan. You should try to be objective. And if you are, like, I don't know, you shouldn't be expressing your political beliefs to your students all the time. And
right.
I don't know.
If you teach math, at no point in time should you be addressing the election.
Right. It's not really a place for it.
See-through steel barrier, not just a simple concrete wall. It will be,
and it's like they don't seem to ever really explain or acknowledge to the kids that, like, the reason, I mean, maybe they don't realize it, maybe they don't even know that the reason that so many of them are so vitriolic against, like, small government policies is because their paychecks rely on, you know, on government and taxes. So it's like, look, it's fine. I'm not against necessarily public schooling, but it's like the fact that, you know, you want these policies because it affects your bottom line. You know?
Was put in place. This powerful barrier almost completely ended illegal crossings. The border city of El Paso, Texas, used to have extremely high rates of violent crime, one of the highest in the entire country, and considered one of our nation's most dangerous cities. Now, immediately upon its building, with a powerful barrier in place, El Paso is one of the safest cities in our country.
There's no way that's true.
Save lives.
No way that could be true.
I'm gonna check State of the Union.
So let's work together, compromise,
on
and reach
ABC News. So this is the White House whatever YouTube channel, and the it has 15,000 likes to 5.8K dislikes. On ABC News, it's 3.7 thumbs up to 2.9 thumbs down, so much closer to 50-50.
Who have filled 50,
so, which is interesting to me, you know. It shows that some people are just going straight to their biased source, you know. CBS News, 1.6K thumbs up, 1.5K thumbs down, almost 50-50.
Who are these women?
Oh, I don't know. I stopped listening.
That's fine. I'm sure it's another. Oh, those are the freshman women senators or congresswomen.
Gotcha. Fox News, of course, 6.1 thousand thumbs up, 500 thumbs down.
All Americans can be proud.
Interesting.
That we have.
NBC, I bet those will have the most. Yeah, NBC News, 900 thumbs up, 700 thumbs down. Just goes to prove my theory. Democrats watch regular media, like old media.
That's true.
Don't sit yet.
They had a poll recently that showed the vast majority of Americans don't trust mainstream media sources, but the highest rates by far of trust of mainstream sources were left-leaning Democrats. Like they still trust the media in pretty high numbers. It's just like, you know, I know
very true.
Affiliation is like these channels, these networks, they're partisan, they're biased, and they're also just not good, you know? So it's like, I don't know what to tell you.
I will say something interesting. Just the optics of this, of Trump saying, like, giving like women a rah-rah speech right now, and them just them jumping up and applauding. It's like, it's almost like, I mean, you're being played right now, clearly.
Sure. Well, look, he's a master at this sort of thing. That's what he does best. That's why they hate giving him like a platform, and why they're always trying to boycott anytime he speaks, because like he's very good at this. He's nothing like the you know, I'm not saying whether you like him or not, you know, whether you support his policies. He's way more charismatic than his detractors give him credit for. And just look at like Alec Baldwin's portrayal of him on SNL is not even remotely close to reality. It doesn't capture him at all. Like he's just a likable guy as a person. It's just true.
I would actually equate Alec Baldwin's portrayal as like truly propaganda. Like propagandistic.
It's a minstrel show, you know.
Right. Whereas I mean, comedians that would lampoon the president, it's a little different.
Yeah, right. Well, Daryl Hammond did a terrific job back in the day.
Yes, he did.
Property, the theft of American jobs and wealth has come to an end.
They took our jobs.
Yeah. This is the thing I don't care about, like, really IP law that much at all.
Therefore, we recently imposed tariffs on $250 billion of Chinese goods.
Boo.
Yeah, not a big fan of that at all.
Billions and billions of dollars. But I don't blame China for taking advantage of us.
I don't blame
our leaders and represent.
I would. Lord knows we have a great product here.
I have great respect for President Xi, and we are now working on a new trade deal with China. But it must include real structural change to end unfair trade practices, reduce our chronic trade deficit, and protect American jobs.
Yeah, that's true. You need to work out the trade deficit stat, though. I would also agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, sure. Like I'm not obviously in favor of a giant trade war, but it's like, yeah, I tend to, I get it, you know. I don't exactly know, I don't pretend to know how to fix it, but
well, I would just say he's already doing his job in terms of trying to compete by deregulating so much business. You got to keep doing that.
That's true.
In order to be competitive, to make products cheaper. That's it.
Yeah.
Why the hell would I want to make steel in the U.S. when I can get it from China?
Well, yeah, I mean, we saw, I don't know, I'm sure you probably heard about like Cuomo saying with the tax hikes on the wealthiest, like they're leaving, and he's like sweating it now. He's like, look, if they leave, we're screwed. We have a giant tax burden, and we have a giant public services burden that like the wealthy don't stick around, you know, when the tax rates are up. So yeah, you just have to keep slashing taxes and bring the wealthy back.
Are proudly stamped with our 4 beautiful words: made in the USA. Tonight, I am also asking you to pass the United States Trade Act so that if another country places an unfair tariff on an American product, we can charge them the exact same tariff on the exact same product that they sell to us. Both parties should be able to unite for a great rebuilding of America's crumbling infrastructure. I know that Congress is eager to pass an infrastructure bill. And
thoughts on infrastructure issues?
Deliver new and important.
Well, I'm not for like a new deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right.
Cutting edge industry.
Privatize it all, man. Privatize it all.
Yeah, that's basically the way I see it.
This is a necessity. The next
I just want the way that works, and clearly privatizing seems to be the better way of going about things.
Yeah, exactly.
Not perfect, but definitely better than the government doing it.
For sure.
With pre-existing conditions.
People are always like, you know, that's the thing they always go to. They're like, oh my God, libertarians are so crazy. What about roads? It's like, I don't know, whatever. People will figure it out, you know.
You go to Canada, there's public roads and there's private roads. You just pay to get on the private roads, but like with an easy pass, you pay a toll. That's it.
Yeah.
There's nothing. Do that. That works.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know, I'm talking to a socialist who's driving me around in Canada, and they go, yeah, we're going to take the private roads. I was like, why don't you take the public roads? And she's like, oh, because they're shitty. I was like, oh, yeah. I was like, duh.
Yeah.
I was like, and you're really for this whole centralized government planning thing, right? She's like, yeah. I was like, cool. All right.
This is unfair.
So fun.
And together, we will stop it. We will stop it fast.
We'll stop it. We're going to stop it. Don't know what we're going to stop, but it's coming to a halt, folks. Bernie Sanders, the fact that he could still get up and down that fast is
impressive.
Enough for me to even consider voting for him.
Look, these New York Jewish fellas, you know, they're spry into.
They do a lot of walking, a lot of basketball.
Exactly.
We should also require drug companies, insurance companies, and hospitals to disclose real prices to foster competition and bring costs way down.
Way down.
All right.
Hashtag way down.
No force in history has done more to advance the human condition than American freedom.
It's like, is that all he's going to say about healthcare? You know?
Yeah, he's like, yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Conditions.
It's kind of a giant issue.
In recent years, we have made remarkable progress in the fight against HIV and AIDS.
Was that still a problem?
Have brought
Not really.
a once distant
He's he forgot it's not the 80s anymore.
My budget will ask Democrats and Republicans to make the needed commitment to eliminate the HIV epidemic in the United States within 10 years. We have made incredible strides. Incredible.
Everyone stand up. If you don't, you like AIDS. Like get the fuck up. That's a gimme.
AIDS has definitely become less of a like meme, you know.
Together,
It's not
100% because it's really not that prevalent. I mean, I live in a city.
No, it's way less. Yeah, it's way less prevalent than it used to be, and
it's way less prevalent. Yeah, for sure.
Another fight that all Americans can get behind: the fight against childhood cancer.
Oh man,
Kids with cancer, get the fuck up, everyone. What are you doing?
Pulling out all the stops now. That's when you know it's time to kind of wrap it up.
Right. Kids with cancer, that was second to last. I wonder what he's going to close with.
Gallery this evening is a very brave 10-year-old girl, Grace Eli. Every birthday,
Look at the kid next to her.
Yeah.
Your brother does not care at all. I hope I'm not making fun of a cancer victim or something, but
I think he might be handicapped or something. I don't know. Just your luck, Dan.
yeah, not good.
The kid's probably the terminal ill one, you know? It's like,
I thought he was just bored. I mean, if I was him,
I get it. It's a long speech.
like,
I get it.
This is like worse than church for that kid, you know?
It's worse than church. Oh my God! I'd rather hear Father O'Reilly give a gospel while I'm trying to black out the moment he touched me at sleepaway camp than listen to this guy for another minute.
Yeah.
Against
yeah, it is a pretty statist sort of event. You know? Nah, he's not. Look, he's just a bored kid.
He's just tired.
Yeah.
He's got a jacket off. His tie's loose. He looks like the guy that just lost some money on a football game.
He's on the wooden bench. It's like, do you remember when you're a kid? Like, those benches were so uncomfortable. Your little spine.
I remember my first State of the Union.
With tears in her eyes, as she hung up a poster that read, "Last day of chemo."
This may very well be the dumbest State of the Union I've ever seen in my entire life.
It's pretty dumb, yeah. It's very vapid, you know.
It's very vapid, absolutely. I was about to say, I don't know. I'm gonna love enjoying the mental gymnastics of how this guy is Hitler. I cannot wait to see that tomorrow morning.
I was thinking when he said President Xi, China's president, he's like, he's a good man. I'm like, I wonder if they're gonna try to spin that like he's cozying up to dictate. Like,
right, yeah. Meanwhile, he's a nefarious genius trying to subvert the democracy with his racist dog whistles. Right? You know, it's like, is he a dummy or is he not? Like, can you make up your mind, please?
Right.
Family leave, so that every new parent has the chance to bond with their newborn child.
Yes, that really meant a lot to that person.
Right. It's very good optics for Mr. Trump.
I will say, again, I don't know how they're going to spin this on the left. Like, they seem pretty happy with most of the shit he's saying.
Right.
It does sound like a big inflated state budget, though. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, no, I'm not happy about that. I'm not happy about the fact that the budget deficits just keep exploding. The budgets keep growing. It's like, it's awful.
Ripped from the mother's womb, moments from birth. These are living, feeling, beautiful babies.
Oh shit!
Share their love and their dreams. And then we had the case of the governor of Virginia, where he stated he would execute a baby after birth. To defend the dignity of every person, I am asking Congress to pass legislation to prohibit the late-term abortion of children who can feel pain.
Wow, roaring applause.
Oh boy. So pretty intense
right now. Dan, are they standing for that one?
It stalled out. Yeah. Well, the Republicans sure are.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see here.
To build a culture that cherishes innocent life.
My screen share is not working.
Let us reaffirm a fundamental truth. All children, born and unborn, are made in the holy image of God. The final part of my agenda is to protect American security. Over the last 2 years, we have begun to fully rebuild the United States military with $700 billion last year and $716 billion.
Wow, I'm not getting the screen share at the moment. Well, we're coming to the end anyway.
Yeah.
For years, the United States was being treated very unfairly by friends of ours, members of NATO. But now we have secured, over the last couple of years, more than $100 billion of increase in defense spending from our NATO allies. They said it couldn't be done.
They said it couldn't be done.
And yet here we are.
Yeah. Like, you know, I don't pretend to know all this stuff, but it's like, sounds fine. You know, we give them all sorts of resources and defense. It's like, if you can get some better deals, I live in this country, so I'm in favor, you know. Why not renegotiate those deals?
Decades ago, the United States entered into a treaty with Russia in which we agreed to limit and reduce our missile capability. While we followed the agreement and the rules to the letter, Russia repeatedly violated its terms. It's been going on for many years. That is why I announced that the United States is officially withdrawing from the Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty, or INF Treaty. Perhaps
Democrats are not standing for that one.
We really have no choice. Perhaps we can negotiate a different agreement, adding China and others. Or perhaps we can't, in which case we will outspend and out-innovate all others by far.
Can you screen share?
As part of a bold new diplomacy,
Yeah, let me try that.
historic push for peace on the Korean
Dan Crenshaw. Dan Crenshaw is such a character, it's ridiculous.
Nuclear testing has stopped, and there has not been a missile launch in more than 15 months. If I had not been elected President of the United States, we would right now, in my opinion, be in a major war with North Korea.
Yeah, look, that's very possible from what my understanding. It's like
much work remains to be done.
That is a massive accomplishment thus far as well, you know.
Is a good one. Chairman Kim and I.
Can you mute your thing real quick and see if mine's coming in on you?
Yeah.
and fully open media.
Can you hear it?
I can hear it, but I don't.
We stand with the Venezuelan people in their noble quest for freedom, and we condemn the brutality of the Maduro regime, whose socialist policies have turned that nation from being the wealthiest in South America to a state of abject poverty and despair.
He hasn't opened that binder once tonight.
In the United States, we are alarmed.
He hasn't opened that binder once tonight.
To adopt socialism in our country.
What stream is this?
America was founded on liberty and independence, and not government coercion, domination, and control. We are born free, and we will stay free.
Now, you think if you're worried about him being a dictator, you'd stand for that too, right?
Yeah, one with,
you know, like, yeah, you are,
yeah. This is a fact.
Oh, the World War II veteran got up for that.
We renew our resolve that America will never be a socialist country.
You know what? I'm kind of glad that they're putting their. And look, you got Pelosi clapping in the background. She has to. Poor Bernie.
God bless him.
One of the most complex set of challenges we face and have for many years is in the Middle East. Our approach is based on principle realism, not discredited theories that have failed for decades.
That's a sketch right there, Nancy, with those like that giant mess of papers in front of her.
Yeah, like she's doing a project in the background.
Yeah, exactly.
She's like doing her taxes right now.
It just looks like the student who has a report to prepare and like just scribbled some notes at 1 in the morning and just like struggling with them.
She's like casually listening to the State of the Union as though it's playing on her laptop.
Yeah.
Our brave troops have now been fighting in the Middle East for almost 19 years.
And the war.
In Afghanistan.
Hold on 1 minute. 1 moment. I gotta. I think I have to let my lady friend in. 1 sec.
More than 52,000 Americans have been badly wounded. We have spent more than $7 trillion in fighting wars in the Middle East. As a candidate for president, I loudly pledged a new approach. Great nations do not fight endless wars.
Keep going.
When I took office, ISIS controlled more than 20,000 square miles in Iraq and Syria just 2 years ago. Today, we have liberated virtually all of the territory from the grip of these bloodthirsty monsters. Now, as we work with our allies to destroy the remnants of ISIS, it is time to give our brave warriors in Syria a warm welcome home. I have also accelerated our negotiations to reach, if possible, a political settlement in Afghanistan. The opposing side is also very happy to be negotiating. Our troops have fought with unmatched valor, and thanks to their bravery, we are now able to pursue a possible political solution to this long and bloody conflict.
You know, when I was a kid, the Democrats were the anti-war ones. It's fairly interesting.
In Afghanistan, my administration is holding constructive talks with a number of Afghan groups, including the Taliban. As we make progress in these negotiations,
oh, cut the feed, cut the feed.
And focus on counterterrorism, and we will indeed focus on counterterrorism. We do not know whether we'll achieve an agreement, but we do know that after 2 decades of war, the hour has come to at least try for peace, and the other side would like to do the same thing. It's time.
It's time. Counterterrorism and none of these big, bloated, nation-building quests in the Middle East.
Above all, friend and foe alike must never doubt.
Did I miss anything?
He's anti-war. Would you imagine it?
Defend our people.
That's good.
15 years ago, violent terrorists attacked the USS Cole, and last month, American forces killed one of the leaders of that attack.
Yeah, you got him.
I got him.
It may not be. I'm not saying it's just like Osama bin Laden, but it's kind of like it.
Right. It doesn't have the same ring to it, you know.
Right. I'd say his name, but none of you have ever heard of him before.
Right. I remember when they tried to pretend that like other guys were the new Osama bin Laden, but no one cared, you know.
17
just sounded like gibberish names to them.
He tragically lost. Tom, we vow to always remember the heroes of the USS Cole. Thank you, Tom.
Oh, that guy on the far right, he's having trouble getting up. Poor bastard. You know what he's saying right now? They put me next to the cancer kids. It's the saddest seat in the house. So depressing.
No one wants that. Plus, you're constantly upstaged.
The world's leading
of
terror. The radical regime in Iran.
Like it's impossible to compete for sympathy with the cancer kids.
To ensure this corrupt dictatorship never acquires nuclear weapons, I withdrew the United States from the disastrous Iran nuclear deal.
And I'm kind of more okay with that than I am him pulling out the other deal.
And last fall, we put in place the toughest sanctions ever imposed by us on a country. We will not avert our eyes from a regime that chants death to America and threatens genocide against the Jewish people.
I will always point out, though, that that sort of, you know,
we must never ignore the vile poison of anti-Semitism.
What's that?
Well, when you impose those sorts of things, the rich, the powerful, they still get their food, they still get supplies, they still have the army. It's the people you hurt.
Yeah,
you do that, you know.
Yeah, I don't know how to deal with that. You know, it's and
in an anti-Semitic attack,
you know, like
on the Tree of Life.
You don't want to support human rights abuses, but like sanctions don't always make things much better. You know, for the people living there.
7 times chasing down the killer, and he was very successful. Timothy has just had his 12th surgery, and he's going in for many more. But he made the trip to be here with us tonight. Officer Mattson, please.
This guy was shot 7 times.
Jeez.
That's a big man.
That's amazing.
That is amazing.
I like that's incredible to me how many stories there are of people who have been like shot multiple times and live and seem to be more or less okay. You know,
I feel like I'm that one shot guy.
Yeah, no, I know.
I feel like I'm a one. I feel like I'm a shot one time person. You get me once in the shoulder, I'm probably not going to make it.
I like it'd be hard for me to come back from a blank. I feel, you know.
I will be startled for a long time.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you. We are forever grateful. Thank you very much. Tonight, we are also joined by Pittsburgh survivor, Judah Samet. He arrived at the synagogue as the massacre began. But not only did Judah narrowly escape death last fall, more than 7 decades ago, he narrowly survived the Nazi concentration camps. Today is Judah's 81st birthday.
There he is. No wonder he's having trouble getting up. The guy's been through literally the most horrific human experiences known to man. A mass shooting and a genocide.
Yeah. I was reading just today how there's like they're finding that people who survive the concentration camps are having unusually long lives in general. It's kind of interesting, you know. I mean, I do think like a lot of Jewish people in general seem to live longer. Like I was saying earlier about Bernie Sanders.
I just want to point out they're busting into happy birthday right now.
Oh my gosh. It's an incredibly just like kind of
what is this? What is happening right now?
Very surreal.
Dan, you can see my screen, right?
I lost it. Yeah, there it is. It's back.
Okay.
You wouldn't do that for me, Judah.
But yeah, no, like,
and that right there is why this guy is president.
Yeah.
75 years ago, after 10 months in a concentration camp, when he and his family were put on a train and told they were going to another camp. Suddenly, the train screeched to a very strong halt.
No.
A soldier appeared.
What kind of soldier?
His family braced for the absolute worst. And his father cried out with joy, "It's the Americans! It's the Americans!"
So well done on being able to identify an American soldier. USA. To which his wife replied, "Oh, Hector, you always say that."
Holocaust survivor.
Oh, there's a second
who's
one.
Here tonight. Joshua.
Wow, you're pulling out all the stops. I guess like, you can only pull this off for a few more years. You know, like Holocaust survivors are not exactly a dime a dozen.
I mean, talk about playing your cards right, dude.
Yeah, milk it while you can.
The American soldiers were proof that God exists.
Whoa.
And they came down from the sky. They came down from heaven. I began this evening by honoring 3 soldiers who fought on D-Day.
On D-Day.
The Second World War. One of them was Herman Zaitchik. But there is more to Herman's story. A year after he stormed the beaches of Normandy, Herman was one of the American soldiers who helped liberate Dachau.
Imagine that. He's saying history like it deserves the applause break, but like, you're going to make this guy get up.
Yeah, after everything he's
finish all the sentences regarding this man now, because he can't be up and down like this.
Yeah, this is asking a lot.
Yeah.
It's hard to get.
All right.
Yeah.
He's waving to the president. Enough.
He was one of the Americans who helped rescue Joshua from that hell on earth.
Another applause break. Stand up, please, sir.
Herman and Joshua are both together in the gallery tonight, seated side by side, here in the home of American freedom. Herman and Joshua, your presence this evening is very much appreciated. Thank you very much.
Stay seated, bud guy. No, don't do this to him. Oh, fuck's sake.
Oh, man.
He's like, I voted Democrat. I can't.
Like, this has stopped being a State of the Union like 25 minutes ago. This has nothing to do with the State of the Union.
Is that not? Just so you know, guys, we won the war.
This is more like a Jerry Lewis telethon at this point. I mean, you know, it's just like random feel-good events and people.
Of D-Day 1944. They were just young men of 18 and 19 hurtling on fragile landing craft toward the most momentous battle in the history of war. They did not know if they would survive the hour. They did not know they would grow old, but they knew that America had to prevail. Their cause was this nation and generations yet unborn. Why did they do it? They did it for America. They did it for us. Everything that has come since our triumph over communism, our giant leaps of science and discovery, our unrivaled progress towards equality and justice. All of it is possible thanks to the blood and tears and courage and vision of the Americans who came before. Think of this Capitol. Think of this very chamber where lawmakers before you voted to end slavery, to build the railroads and the highways, and defeat fascism, to secure civil rights, and to face down evil empires. Here tonight, we have legislators from across this magnificent republic. You have come from the rocky shores of Maine
Oh my God.
and the volcanic peaks of Hawaii, from the snowy
of Wisconsin, Trump delivering these like rhetorical presidential
from the green farms of Kentucky and the golden beaches of California.
The Purple Mountains Majesties, blah, 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 blah.
The most extraordinary nation in all of history.
I'm just curious on what's his economic plan on rebuilding Europe after World War II.
How will we be?
We're not giving them any more money, for God's sake.
The men and women of this Congress look at the opportunities before us. Our most thrilling achievements are still ahead. Our most exciting journeys still await. Our biggest victories are still to come. We have not yet begun to dream. We must choose whether we are defined by our differences or whether we dare to transcend them. We must choose whether we squander our great inheritance or whether we proudly declare that we are Americans. We do the incredible. We defy the impossible. We conquer the unknown. This is the time to ignite the American imagination. This is the time to search for the tallest summit and set our sights.
Like, I can totally get how people who really like appreciate and adore that sort of like rhetorical soaring rhetoric, you know,
Yeah.
how much they hate him, because it does not work come out of his mouth, you know, and especially after Obama, where like you can really buy in, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
But like if you're a person who doesn't take any of that seriously anyway, then it's just you're just kind of happy that it's funny now. You know?
Unbelievable.
It's funny hearing this stuff come out of his mouth.
Freedom alive in our souls. And we must always keep faith in America's destiny. That one nation, under God, must be the hope and the promise and the light and the glory among all the nations of the world. Thank you. God bless you. And God bless America. Thank you very much.
And by the way, build the wall, boys. We're building that fucking wall.
He didn't give him, I feel like he gave him almost no red meat along those lines, you know. But look, I could be proven wrong. We should do another stream in a couple days maybe to like talk about the ways that this perfectly milquetoast, overly long, mostly boring State of the Union was perverted into like the devil and Hitler, you know, boning each other on stage or whatever they come up with, you know.
Where are you at, Dan?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can't see you.
Ah. Here I am.
Yeah, man. I couldn't agree more. I would love to really gauge the reaction of this and have a discussion on that, because like you said, he really didn't give much red meat. It sounded, again, it was like a very vapid sort of hour and a half.
Yeah.
Right. There's nothing really there to attack. There's a couple of phrases he said that I totally can see them blowing it out of proportion. Sure. But on the whole, he really did get the place on the same page throughout most of that. He wasn't driving a one-sided agenda. Everything he was talking about, you know, I was surprised about how much. Well, here's a good example. When he talked about illegal immigration, he made it about the terrible things we see in illegal immigration. So he's talking about, you know, the human trafficking and the sexual assaults and the rape and this has to stop. And, you know,
honestly,
all these. Say again?
Yeah, I'm really happy he did that, actually. Like, that's the stuff that I have a huge problem with. And it drives me crazy that people don't acknowledge like these serious issues with sexual assault and drug smuggling and human trafficking and violence that is coming from people crossing the border, and how like we explicitly need some sort of border patrol to, you know, protect those people. So it's like, I thought he struck the right tone on that for sure. You know, I thought he was, if anything, he was just kind of like dull. There were too many like Oscars moments of just like, let's talk about nonsense and keep this thing droning on and on. But, you know, like he has a lot of accomplishments at this point, and he ticked him off pretty effectively. So, you know, whatever. It was a fine State of the Union.
Yeah, I would say if you were to compare it to the speech I heard when he became president, his inaugural address.
Yeah.
That is a determined, one-sided, we won, get ready, here comes change.
Yeah.
And even his first or State of the Union had the same sort of vibe, right? Didn't he say something like, it was a key phrase that he used that that everyone kind of focused on, like this, decomposing America or something like that. It was just something so terrible.
Right.
And this was all about very upbeat. We're together on this. Let's put aside our differences. Look how we all agree on these things, these values. I would say from a very selfish point of view, this is not analysis as much as it's me just kind of toot my own horn here. I love the fact that he kind of put his flag in the ground there and said, we're never going to be a socialist country.
I love that too. Yeah.
As much as I love it, though, you do have to question in a very sort of FDR New Deal sort of way. Well, you want a large military budget. You want centralized planning. You want tariffs. You want sanctions. Well, all of that is not necessarily the free market or freedom in general. So I don't know if you really I think he understands the threat. I think he forgets that the threat starts typically in an economic argument and then makes its way over to the moral and political arguments afterwards. Sort of like a la Hayek, like what F.A. Hayek would refer to in his in the book, like Road to Serfdom, But I think it's important to kind of say, well, as long as I'm president, we will not push for a socialist agenda. And good. Like, I think that's fucking important. Democracies aren't perfect, but they work better than socialism. That's for sure.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, look, his rhetoric is on point. On the other hand, he just passed the largest budget in U.S. history, so government is growing. It's going in the wrong direction. The military-industrial complex is wildly out of control. So there's plenty to criticize. Unfortunately, the Democrats aren't criticizing any of that, and they're supposed to be the opposition. So here we are, Yeah,
well, I would say maybe that's almost why you have this sort of collective positive vibe coming amongst the party lines here. There's a lot of crossing of the aisle here because he's talking about big government projects. And I think both sides, Republican and Democrat, are corporate Republican and corporate Democrats.
Yeah.
And they love the idea of controlling the economy and calling the shots. And I don't know. There wasn't a lot of libertarian sort of applause points, except for him saying we'll never be socialist, which is just words for right now. And the second one is like, we're gonna try and find peace in the Middle East and get our boys home.
Yeah. Well, if he really brings the soldiers home from Syria as he promised, and if he, starts getting out of Yemen and all that, look, that would be a massive win, and a truly inspiring step forward. So, it's a long, we'll see. I'll believe it when I see it, but well, that'd be great.
Wouldn't it be great?
Yeah. But that said, I should probably get going. I've got some work to do actually this evening. So, yeah, I mean, I thought a good recap, good stream. Hope we made the dull State of the Union a little bit less dull. And yeah, take her easy. This is Dan Banas.
Have a good one, everyone.
All right. Good night.